Terry Hutchinson, skipper of Artemis Racing, challenger of record for the America's Cup right now. You're here in Düsseldorf talking about your project. What's the situation right now, beginning in the season for your team?
The situation now, beginning the season, is we have our second AC-45 that's just arrived in Valencia. We will start two-boat sailing next week, and we have roughly 5 weeks of two-boat training, and then the boat that we're going to race on the circuit will get packed up and shipped off to Naples. And we have a trimaran that we've been learning how to sail things at high speeds and bigger boats, and we've also been testing bits and pieces of the AC-72 equipment on the trimaran.
So it's an Arma trimaran, 60 foot?
Yes.
So who is steering the second boat of the AC-45?
Santiago Lang, who is a tornado sailor from Argentina. He's part of the Artemis design team. He has a couple bronze medals in the Olympics, so he's fairly well proven, and on top of just being a great sailor, he's been a great teammate in helping all of us get up to speed in the multi-hull.
Last time I remember him crashing in the Extreme Sailing Series, huh?
Crashing, yeah. He had a big crash in Cowes, unfortunately. But we're using the same formula with the AC-45 that we used with the Extreme 40. This time last year, we had two-boated the Extreme 40s for a session in Miami in late November, early December, and then we did another session in Oman prior to the first regatta. And so he helped us a lot there, getting up to speed fairly quickly. And while we only did the 4 regattas that we competed in this year, it proved to be quite a fruitful way to develop.
So how did it start off for you sailing this catamaran boats? I mean, you have not that big experience before, and you kind of a role model that it is possible. What is it like for you? In the early days, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, and it's you're a little bit apprehensive when you go out in conditions that you haven't seen before, and just understanding the physics of how the multi-hull works is important. Not putting the boat in a position of risk is really important, because unlike a monohull, when the thing flips over, it's not coming back, and so you have to be very careful there. Did you already had a flip?
Yep. We capsized in Plymouth. We were a little bit unfortunate in that we had one of our hulls was filling up with water, and so that didn't help us, and so that aided in the capsize, but I'm sure it was bound to happen at some point.
This was when you got stuck with the Spaniards.
Yes. Yeah. No, that
was a pretty good pictures, and yeah. Have you been scared about that situation, because it looks really closed?
No, I mean it was what it was. I guess to a certain extent, rubbing's racing, as they say, and we got out of the situation, and it obviously didn't help our race, but we kept on racing, and then the unfortunate bit right there in the end, we got hit by a funny puff, and you could feel the water rushing forward in the bow of the boat, and down she went. Yeah.
But the feeling helming this kind of boats, you feel it completely different, or do you? I mean, obviously you got your results in, and you have shown that it's working. Yeah. Do you have to think very different in another way? Or?
No, I mean I think the thing that you learn, and that I'm learning, is that when the boat's not going well, you have to just reside yourself to easing the sheets a little bit and get the thing going really fast. And generally, when the boat's flying low and the windward hull is flying low to the water, and the boat's going fast, that's when you're making your most gains. And so that's probably been one of the bigger transitions. Downwind, the 45 has been a little bit harder to learn than the Extreme 40, and I think we're still evolving there with what the proper wing shape is downwind, and the proper technique to sail in the boat efficiently.
So the next step will be, I think, Naples for the AC-45 circuit. How's your preparation for that right now?
Well, we haven't started, so we'll start next week, and I think our preparation it'll be better than anything that we've done to date in the AC-45. So we had, prior to the event in Cascais, we sailed 10 days in anger in the boat, and then we
shipped it to Cascais, and from there all we've been doing is just regattas. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity to have two boats lined up next to each other and to get a little bit more consistency for myself and for the team, because it's one of those boats that will reward good solid boat handling, and being comfortable in the boat is a big deal, and it's something that we're not yet, so we have to continue to develop that side of it.
You had pretty good results in the match racing stuff. I mean, before, not sailing the catamarans as well. As a match racer myself, I'm looking for it, and I always feel it. This 2 minutes pre-start and then start and reaching. It doesn't look pretty nice for me. What is it like for you?
Well, I think, as you point out, it's different. And the idea behind the start and the first reach and the first leg really is they don't want the race to be over at the start. And statistically, we've seen that the boat that leads at the first reach mark has only won 47% of the races. And oddly enough, in a lot of our racing, all of our racing but one, we've led at the first reach mark, and we've only won 3 of 9 races or something. So what it tells you is that good boat handling, being smooth, being fast in the open course is equal of a contributor to all that than just winning the start and getting off around the mark first. And that's not a lot different than anything that we've seen on the match racing circuit, but in the multi-hull, things happen so much faster. The guy gets a little more wind than you do, and the problem compounds really quickly. So that, to me, is probably the biggest difference.
For the pre-start, I don't like it to be the blue boat, and if you can't cross in front of the other one when for the entrance. I mean, they try to get the starting, the entrance line on a different way that the blue boat can cross. This didn't happen very often. Do they trying to change something with that?
No, they're just trying to get it right with the wind angle, then it works. And inevitably, if blue doesn't have as much wind as starboard, even if the blue end is favored, his chances of crossing are smaller, just because of the way the boat responds to the pressure of the wind. And if blue does get across, then he's very quickly advantaged. It takes away all the starboard advantage that you have, because from there it's a time and distance run. And it puts a lot of pressure on the yellow entry to make some hard decisions.
Okay, let's talk about Oracle. You're going to have some training sessions with them. Is that right?
We don't have anything planned right now. We're talking about maybe hooking up later in the year, but as of right now, nothing's set in stone.
So the AC-72s are going to be built. You have started building, of course, and will there be some training against each other?
I hope so. That's if we can go out and train against each other and race against each other under some sanctioned races by ACRM, that would be great, because it's a good opportunity for us to learn. But we do need to be careful with the most recent ruling by the jury that we adhere to everything that they've asked, and so everything that we do will be sanctioned by the America's Cup Race Management.
Yes, let's talk about this. I didn't understood the decision right, because there was some decision concerning Team New Zealand and Luna Rossa sailing against each other or with the same design. Paul Kayat said that they ruled in their favor, but Grant Dalton said no, nothing changed at all. What's the situation right now?
Well, I mean, the situation is pretty simple. The jury ruled that you're not allowed to use telemetry. You're not allowed to collect information. You're not allowed to share information about your boat's design. And if Luna Rossa buys the Team New Zealand race package, then that's okay. That's allowed by the rules. But at that point, they have to be very careful about how they treat their relationship. And Team New Zealand was very vocal about how they thought the protocol read, and the jury was very clear that it didn't read anywhere close to what Team New Zealand thought. So
it's, I think the
best thing about it is that it doesn't really matter who's right or wrong. The nice thing about it is the jury brought clarity to a situation, and it's better now to know for all the teams really that if Emirates and Luna Rossa go out and line up against each other and collect information from each other, they're violating the protocol, and they're going to have to be penalized.
Isn't it a big blow for Luna Rossa because they start so late?
It's hard to know, because you don't know the intricacies of their arrangement.
How do you rate your chances to win against Oracle? I mean, people say the America's Cup is pretty great stuff, what we have seen before, but it's also always concerning the AC-45 racing stuff, and now we just expect 4 AC-72s, and nobody knows it's almost similar to Sail, and everybody thinks nobody has a real chance against Oracle because they're late. They started early, and they have all they have great sailors as well on board. What do you think about that?
I think your assessment's probably pretty accurate. I mean, it's a big ask to go and beat them over a 5-race series. I mean, from a Artemis perspective, and we have a couple major challenges ahead of us on top of just getting the 72 up and to a point where we can race it. We have 2 very good other challengers that will be difficult to race against. I'm confident that if we get through those series, then when we get to Oracle, we'll be as polished as we possibly can be. I mean, they're in the enviable spot that they're the defender, but it's also a very difficult spot because you can never simulate the type of racing that we'll have in a Challenger Series in-house, racing each other, racing a team against a team in-house. It's just really, really difficult to do.
That's why they got people like Ben Ainsley involved.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the idea. I mean, you need to create as much of a competitive environment as possible to have any chance of racing well. But we saw it fairly clearly, I think, in 2007, in that Lingy sailed a very fast boat, but I don't think that they sailed as well as we did on the Team New Zealand boat, and that's the disadvantage of being the defender. But in all these situations, the one thing you know for sure is the fastest boat's probably going to win.
As usually.
That's the beauty of the America's Cup. I mean, it's a design competition as much as anything.
So is that the way, like you say, okay, maybe AC-45, so might be 10 boats on the line, and you say, okay, it's good to be in front, but it's not that important.
Yeah, I mean, my take is there's one time we need to be in front, and that's in September of 2013. I mean, the AC-45 is a great training platform, but to see it for more than that, I think would be a mistake, because it's nowhere close to what the AC-72 is. And in the same breath, we're not sailing our AC-45 as well as the other teams are, and so we have a lot of work to do there. And so, that's not I mean, to me, that's a fact, and so we just have to take that on and get better at that and get our sailing skills to where they need to be, so that we are confident when we're racing the AC-72 against another team that we know person for person we're at least equal there.
So are you not scared to sail this 72 in San Francisco conditions? I mean, it seems to be crazy.
Yes, I think that's right. It is crazy. Yeah. And am I scared? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Maybe it's blissfully unaware.
Yeah. Okay, so we wish you good luck. Don't break your AC-72, and we see. Let's knock on wood. Yeah. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Cheers.